introduction.
Yay.
Well, thank you for coming to the board meeting today. We are glad that all of you were able to get here safely in spite of the cold, sunny, snowy weather. It had snow at your house this morning, so we're glad you got here. Today we're here to talk about Solus, I believe, and we brought in our guest expert, Mr. Nathan McCoy. And so he's brought for you some snacks today, so I hope you've been able to enjoy those. So Mr. McCoy, will you please take it from here?
Yes, I will. All right, guys, so as you can see, the operating system that I'm doing is called Solus. And their slogan is install today, updates forever. And I will get more into that as I go along. So first we have to establish what even is Solus. Well, Solus is more of an independent operating system based on the Linux kernel. So what that means is that even though it's based on the Linux kernel, it is an independent operating system from everyone else. Solus was created by a guy by the name of Ike Doherty. It is a free open source software, so if you don't know what that means, free open source means that anybody can download it. It's free to anybody, anybody can use it, it's good to go. So there's different platforms of Solus. And what are those different platforms? Well, we have Budgie, we have GNOME, Mate, and the KDE Plasma isn't quite out yet, it's still in development, but it's almost here. So who is Ike Doherty? Well, he was an open source software engineer. He was also born in Ireland. He worked for Intel's Open Source Technology Center, and sadly, he left the Solus project a few weeks back, actually on November 2nd, 2018.
Why?
So, what about the history? There's some history behind Solus. In September 20th, 2015, Solus 1.0 was codenamed Shannon. And the reason behind that is, since he lived in Ireland, he named his Solus operating systems after the Irish rivers. So there was a river called Shannon, so that's where that came from. In July 2016, they used to have point releases, and if you don't know what a point release is, where they come out with one giant release and come out with little updates throughout that main release. But they decided to ditch that concept in July of 2016 and come out with a full rolling release. So rolling release is just continued big updates throughout. And just like I said earlier, on November 2nd, Ike Doherty stepped down from the development of Solus, and now the development team consists of like 5 or 6 members now, are considered the owners of Solus. Also, since now Ike Doherty is not the creator of Solus, they now name their releases just on the dates. So as you can see, Solus 2017.01.01.0 was released on January 1st, 2017. There was also another one released on April 18th, 2017. Solus 3 was then released in August 15th of 2017, and the most recent Solus that you can get now is Solus 3.9999, which was released on September 20th, 2018. So you can tell that's not very far from right now. So they also adopted Flatpak. Oh, I actually skipped that one. So I'll get to that on the next slide. So what is Flatpak? Flatpak is a software utility for software deployment like package management and application virtualization for Linux desktops. It provides a sandbox environment which users can run different applications from isolation from the rest of the system. So that's what sandbox is allowing you to run different applications separate from the actual system. What are some interesting facts about Solus? Well, just like I said, Ike Doherty liked to name different releases, name them different rivers of Ireland. Also, Solus 3 was named one of the best Linux distributions of 2017 by OMG Ubuntu. And this is also the third amongst rolling popular releases out there for the Linux distributions. So, let's say you want to install Solus. Let's say you don't want to use Windows anymore, you're kind of getting tired, you want something new. Well, what are those system requirements for this for this operating system? Well, first, you're going to need a blank DVD or at least a 2 gig plus USB drive. You're also going to need a minimum of 10 gigs of space available. Also, 2 gigs of RAM for your optimal experience, and a 64-bit AMD, Intel, any of those processor. It just needs to be at least a 64-bit. So how does the installation work? Well, you go to get Solus. See how they did that? The URL is spelled out Solus, which I thought was pretty cool actually. And then you go to the download page. And this is actually what you are greeted with. It's a nice simple web page. Looks pretty simplistic and nice to look at. So you go to that website. So what do you do after that? Well, there's an all button right here, right up there, and you click that all button, and then the different types of installations you can get. You have the Atlanta US, that one, and then there's another US one as well. So I would just recommend probably clicking the US one. So what do you do after that? Well, as you can see, there's 3 different types. So we have Bungee, GNOME, and Mate. And you can click either one of those. The size is going to be about 1 to 4 to 1.5 gigabytes to install this operating system. So after you click which download you want, what happens next? Well, the update's going to start. Just like I said, it's going to be around 1.4 to 1.5 gigs. And with that flash drive, you're going to want to actually plug that in now. But something that a lot of people mistake is that you can't just take your ISO, which is your Solus operating system image. You can't just take that and drag it over to the your USB drive, because it's not gonna work. It's not gonna read well. So you're gonna want to use something called Etcher. Thanks, Wade, for recommending this software. This is a great software. You can select your image, and then so you select Bungee, and then you're gonna select your drive that you want to put this on, either your blank DVD disc or your USB, and then you're going to flash it. It's going to take a while. It's going to take around a couple minutes to flash it. So then what happens after that? Well, after the OS is flashed, what you're going to want to do is go into your BIOS. Usually the BIOS can be found by either clicking Delete, F2, or F12. So when you're in the BIOS, you're going to be greeted by these tabs here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make your way over to where it says the BIOS menu. So when you do that, you'll find a boot option to click the UE5 SanDisk. And basically, after you do that, after you click that, save your changes, it's basically straightforward from there. Solus will walk you through the setup process with your names, passwords, making it look how you want it to look. So basically, that's how you install Solus. So what are the additions of Solus? Well, like I said, but we have Bungee, GNOME, Mate, and they're still working on the Plasma desktop. Well, what is Bungee? This is more of the flagship edition. So this is the edition that they like to advertise a little more because it uses more of the new hardware. Let's say you build like a new system or something, this is the edition that you're going to want to use. So GNOME is more of a contemporary desktop experience. Mate is more of a traditional desktop experience. And just like I said, they're still working on the Plasma, so I don't have that one quite out yet. It's still in development. It'll be out soon. So what about the Bungee desktop? Well, it is a feature-rich and luxurious desktop. That's what they like to call it. It uses, just like I said, more modern hardware. So you just want to use some stuff that is more modern, just so it doesn't like screw up with it or anything. And surprisingly, compared to Windows, Windows likes to use around 1.5 to 2 to 3 gigs just on idle because of all the background processes that they use. But RAM usage for Bungee is only 780 megabytes at idle, which that leaves a lot more room for gaming for all the gamers out there. Leaves it for a lot more room so that your games can use more RAM. So Ike already said that he wanted something that was took on more of a traditional take, but not too traditional. He wanted to keep more of the aesthetic look, and besides the aesthetic, keep the functionality. So as you can see from this picture, this looks more of like a more of a Windows type feel to me. That's kind of what I see from it. So you have your icons at the bottom. You have your info here, just your time, your internet. Just kind of looks more of like a Windows to me. So now we have the Genome next. It's the GNOME, not Genome. GNOME desktop. So like I said, this one gives you more of a contemporary desktop experience. And this one actually uses almost half of what the other one used. This one only uses 448 megabytes of idle. And what I really like about this one is how the side bar, the taskbar, is actually on the side of the screen. It kind of gives it more of kind of like a dock feel, like an Apple feel, but not really. And then it gives all your info at the top there. So what about the Mate desktop? Well, the Mate desktop is used for more traditional hardware, older hardware. So like, let's say if you have a pretty old computer and you want to use Solus, you can still use it, but just use the Mate desktop. This one only uses 330 megabytes of RAM. So what about the software availability? Well, this one comes with a wide range of software like Firefox, and even though a lot of people don't really like to use Firefox, comes with Thunderbird transmission and GNOME MPV. Additional software that isn't on here can either be found through the Software Center, or you can either use the terminal to do that. So I'm actually going to show you guys some of these. These are some of the commands, I would say, for college students to get started with this. Because as you can see, when you first download Solus, it looks pretty darn blank. Like it looks like there's nothing there. So I'm going to show you guys these. So let's first go into the Software Center. Okay, so this is the Software Center. So these are different things that you can go through. You can have your desktop theming. You can have these are all organized by what it is. So you have your all multimedia graphics in there, office software, security software, stuff like that. So let's say Wade wants to download Solus. We all know that Wade's a huge gamer. So let's download Steam, shall we? Steam is actually in this software availability, which is really nice. So we're going to find Steam here. And Steam is right here at the top. So what you're going to do is click that, and then you're going to just click install. And so I'm going to enter my password here. For everyone that wants to know, it's just the live password. So it's going to install the, it's going to take its time and installs Steam. So after that, it should be at the desktop. Let's see, there's so much stuff open. Okay. So
you're actually using your machine for the entire presentation and it's
yes.
running.
Okay, so as you can see, we have Steam now. So this is where you can update your login and start playing your games. I hope it doesn't start updating right in front. I knew it was going to do that. Okay. Let's go back here.
It works though.
Yeah, it works.
Is that the Budgie desktop?
Yeah, the one that I'm using now is actually the Budgie desktop. Because
Go back and show us the desktop from your perspective instead of screenshot. Show me, like close that and let me just see the desktop.
So this is the actual Budgie desktop. Don't get fooled by, from right over there, this start button, as we would say, looks like it would use the GNOME desktop, but actually you can go into your themes and change it to whatever you want. I just thought, kind of a foot, it just kind of looks funny. So this is what the desktop actually looks like. one thing I really like about Solus is their desktop backgrounds. These backgrounds are really cool. So let's say you want to change your lock screen or the background, like they have some really cool backgrounds. These are like super professional and nice. So, let's change it to this cat. Here we go. So, that's for Austin. You're welcome, Austin. So this is the Bungie desktop. So I don't want to show you all those different things you can get, but these are just some of the things you can get. Like, we all like Skype, we like to talk to different people. I think the number one most used program on this campus, I feel like, is Spotify. I feel like a lot of people like to listen to music a lot. So the only bad thing about Solus, I am saying something bad about it, that you can't use actual like Microsoft hardware. So what you're gonna have to do is kind of more of use this one instead, called WPS Office. This is actually a direct, it's actually competing right now with Microsoft because of its usage.
Do you mean hardware or software? You can't use Microsoft
Yeah,
hardware or software.
you can't use their software.
Now, we have a question before you move on. We're hitting you up with questions as we go along. I don't know why, but that's all right. That's all right.
It works.
Wade had a question. I think it's a legitimate question.
So the commands with like underneath your sudo, what's the second part?
Sudo is if you want to remove it. You can actually remove it from the command terminal, or you can remove it just from the software center.
Now, what's the EOPKG?
The EOPKG is actually the package manager. That is what Solus uses. So if you guys want, do you guys want to see me install a program from the terminal?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. All right, so let's just do. I have Google Chrome already installed.
Install Git.
Let's go get Spotify.
That's gonna take forever. Spotify.
All right, let's do Spotify.
What does
Alright.
EOPKG stand for?
Some distros it's really slow.
I know.
I don't know why.
Oh my gosh.
What does
PKG would be package manager, and EO,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
Just get like DPKG or something.
All right, so the terminal is called the terminal. In case you guys didn't know.
It's not the rate.
What's the mat terminal?
The mate terminal? That's a different terminal you can have.
Turn.
All right, so what you're gonna wanna do is, since I already have it plugged in for you, we can just go ahead and paste this. Oh gosh, I hope this works. All right, so we're gonna
If
do
it
this.
doesn't,
If it doesn't, then I screwed up somewhere. So we're gonna enter the password.
Make sure you don't mess up the password. Okay, it's good. There you go.
All right, so now it's installing Spotify.
It's got so much fancy text.
Yeah, don't you like it?
Dude, it's
That
like
looks
it's
so
counting
good.
the percentages.
Yeah, it looks so good.
Goodness.
Can you log into it?
Can I log into Spotify? Actually, believe it or not, I don't use Spotify, so I don't have a Spotify account.
You got Pandora. Pandora?
I mean, most of my music that I listen to,
Am I the only Pandora user? You.
apparently.
well, the reason why I don't like Pandora because you can't choose the songs that you get to listen to.
Skipping is a pain.
Yeah. So, this didn't take this long to install on Google Chrome. It only took me like 30 seconds. This is taking a lot longer than I thought.
That's good to hear.
Well,
So-
you can press Control C.
Or you can just
No.
let it run in the background and keep going
Yeah,
on with
I'll
something
go ahead
else.
and just let that run in the background. So, alright, so we'll start from the current slide. So, as that's running, so these are just some of the simple commands that any Linux user needs to remember. ls is one of the most popular ones, I would say. It shows your, oh, it's completed, look at that. So ls shows the major directories filled under the file system, not fire. So the CD changes the file, changes between the file directories. MV moves a file to another directory. and so on. mkdir, make directory, makes a new directory, and so on. So now, what about the memory management of Solus? Well, some of the strengths is that, like I said earlier, it uses a lot less than Windows does, which is really nice for gamers, I would say, especially. Some of the weaknesses is that not only they use different amounts of memory through different amounts or through different types of platforms, which sometimes you can't know how much memory is being used through some of those. So just each platform uses a different amount of memory.
Oh, and by platform, do you mean like GNOME, Budgie?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I mean. Yep. Those are different types of platforms you can have. All right. So what about the file management? Well, the file manager for Solus is called Nautilus. And basically what Nautilus is that it marks folders with emblems to make it easier to find what you're looking for. So as you can see, like on the documents, we have some papers. On like music, we have a speaker. Like that just makes it easier to find different files. And the files are really laid out really nicely. So it's very simple and easy to follow the file management. So, what about the device management? Well, sadly, Solus doesn't come with a device manager on it. And so, Solus works with all the devices that you want to plug into it. It doesn't have any problems with it. There are actually no special drivers to install this OS. They just work with what drivers you already have. And I will be the first to say this, even though this is how you install the one that I'm going to show is hard info, which I'm pretty sure means hard drive info or hard disk info, and it just gives all your drivers and stuff. I'll be the first to say I actually couldn't get this to work, but I know that this is how you're supposed to type it. You're supposed to download the file from GitHub, and then enter the code, the sudo eopkg install a system developer, which is what develop means. So then after you do that, you're going to extract a file, and then it's going to come up with all these different files. And then from that file window, right-click and open the terminal, and you're going to enter these one by one. And after you enter those one by one, you will have the hard info application.
May I interrupt you right here?
Yes.
I guess I didn't look at these carefully enough, but the command on number 2 and the command on number 3 and 4, build and make, those are used when you compile a new set of source code. So that probably, the reason that's probably not working is you probably had to get the source code of Solus, extract this file into the source code, then recompile it so that it was built in.
Yeah.
That's not just a set of commands that you can run by themselves and they really work. So probably your confusion when you asked me is you didn't start with the source code. Now, I don't know why.
That's just because when I went online to look at that, they literally told me that's literally all you do and it should work. So I don't know how they made it work for themselves, if that's how you're actually supposed to do it.
But that's what compiling means, is take that source code and add some more to it and make and build commands or compiler codes.
Yeah. All right. So, what about the networking management? Well, the network manager, just like everybody else in this room has had it, it's called network manager.
I don't use network manager.
Well, like Brian uses network manager,
Yeah.
Dakota is called network manager, and mine's called network manager. So basically the network manager keeps track of all the networking statistics of your computer, like IP addresses, IP4 addresses, IPv6 addresses, just type, so you're able to connect to the internet. Actually connecting to the internet through here is very simple. There's no like special drivers to be able to install, to be able to go on the internet. All I did was plug in a RJ45 cable and it worked perfectly for me. I got me on the internet, and Wi-Fi works the same way. You just plug in a Wi-Fi adapter and it'll find all the Wi-Fi sources that you want to connect to. So, before we answer any questions, it's quiz time. So, I'm sorry, Dakota, I had to copy you. I thought it was a great idea, so we're doing a Kahoot. So everybody go into Kahoot.
Well, I didn't bring my phone again today, but I have a computer.
How do I get to Kahoot?
Kahoot.it.
What?
What'd you call me?
What's the code? Yeah, Nathan, what's the
Not
code?
yet, I'm getting there.
Nathan.
Faster
Code.
Joel, quit picking on your brother.
Yeah, Joel.
Come on, Joel.
Missed it this morning in the lab.
I'm turning down the sound so I don't have to hear the
He was
music.
picking on
But the
someone.
music
Listen
is
to music.
I don't think so. All right, so it's 757-3039.
One second, you're
Let's
being,
go.
you're being really rushy.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Your song just came in. What's on, Jägermeister.
Who's mama there? Who did that?
Todster.
Not me.
The other Joel. That guy.
Oh my gosh. Are we all in? Wait, IO.
Dude, are you input and an output?
All right, is everyone in? Everyone's good to go?
Maybe.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I'm ready.
Bottom
Let's go.
down.
Only take
That's your
one.
thumbs down.
Only
Yeah.
take questions?
What's that 20?
All right, so who is the creator of Solus? Good job. Good job. Yes, it is Aikido. All right, yeah, go away.
What?
Go away.
You're too
All right,
fast.
what day did Aikido leave the Solus
If
project?
they're all the same year, dear Lord, why did you do that? Of course you had to do all the same year, you couldn't make it too easy,
No,
right?
this is 17.
Oh, I was the one wrong.
Good job, Ryan. Yes, it is November
You
2nd,
didn't have to announce
2018.
that, we wouldn't
I'll
know.
own it, I'll own it.
All right.
See Brian disappear. Look at that, guys, it's like it wasn't even there.
Go away. How many platforms does Solus have?
5,000.
Yes, just kidding.
No, I didn't.
Yay! Good job. Yes. So we have, just like I said, KDE Plasma is coming here, but it's not here yet. So it's technically not a platform yet.
3.5.
So we only have 3.
Okay.
3.5, I should have done that.
You really put a lot
I
of
should have done
thought-
that to trip people up.
You put a lot of thought into this, didn't you?
Alright, go away. Heck yeah,
Ooh,
let's do this. How many gigabytes of free space must you have to
Yes.
install Solus?
12.
50.
No.
50. Yeah.
Whoa, okay.
Jordan's
Yep,
done.
so just like I said, it needs at least 10 gigs to install Solus on the hard drive.
Oh, I can do it.
Go away. Which platform is the flagship version?
GNOME.
Slow down.
It is Budgie. Yep, the flagship version.
I knew it was
is
Budgie. Red hair.
Budgie. I thought, Ness saw it so many times, I always called it Bungie, but it's not Bungie, it's Budgie.
The Jägermeister.
True or false, you can install programs to the software center and the terminal. You guys better not get this wrong. Good job. Good job.
Hey.
It is true. You
Boy,
can't.
Wade.
Only the
Better not screw up, Wade.
I live
Points
my
under-
life.
Alright,
Points
how
behind
much
you.
RAM does Bungie use at idle?
Oh, goodness.
Yep, I remember this one. I don't know.
I don't know.
700 meg, yeah.
Yep, 780 megabyte. Good
Oh,
job.
yeah.
Good job.
And now, what is
Take
that?
it, Wade.
Oh,
I
you're
got a
still there.
Wait, you got a huge lead. You better
I
not
got
mess
one
it up.
point lead.
Black Panther.
Alright, true or false? The file manager is called Nautilus.
False.
It's all false.
Yay. Who put false? Did you actually do that, Wade?
Well, take a look and see.
Oh,
What?
Is next.
Look and see.
Nope.
99,000. Oh, look.
Hey, he's part of the Solus, the current Solus, 3.9999. So what did Ike Daughtry name his releases after?
Food.
I like food.
You.
Good job, after me.
Yes.
Okay,
Nathan.
alright. So Wade, yeah, let's go Wade.
I climbed my way back.
Okay, so what kind of processor needs to be used to run Solus? This is kind of a trick question.
86.
It's both. It can actually use both. So whoever guessed that.
Oh, x86.
We're right.
Well, technically, isn't x86 32-bit?
It is.
It technically is, but that's
Technically it is.
that's what it says for me for you to install.
x86.
Is x86.
Guys, look who came from the bottom.
So let's see who got the results.
Good job.
The winner.
Good job, Wade. All right,
It was a
So,
trick question.
back to here. So just like I said, is there anybody with any questions? Start questions now.
I pretty much already asked my
Crickets.
Oh, I have Lindy, don't
How
I?
do you know, that Solus is a good platform for gaming?
How do you know? Well, I mean, it uses, I would say it just uses less RAM. So the more RAM you can have for gaming, the better.
Let me back you up there, buddy. Okay. So Linux on Steam now has
Yeah, I know about Steam Proton.
Yeah, Steam Proton, which really has made it to where I mean, it's like the Witcher series, all that. Even Dark Souls 3, you can play on Linux now. And all
Because
that.
I was
Linux
surprised
really
you had all the
doesn't
Linux
sound
discussion here about, because I didn't follow it that closely, I didn't realize, can all of these games be played on Linux?
Yeah,
Only about
Well, no, not all of
40% with.
Yeah, I wouldn't say all of them.
Proton.
yeah.
If you're using Proton?
Yeah, if you're using Proton, it's 40%. They're now out of Steam's catalog.
Updated and now there's a lot more.
What is Proton? Is it a program that builds
It's
a,
a built-in compatibility tool forked from Wine and
Yeah,
from
it uses
DXVK. And DXVK, if y'all know what DirectX's API, it translates it into Vulkan. Vulkan is a cross-platform API, so it takes DirectX games, translates them, and it's getting better and better.
it's just
with
a
every release.
newer
And
compatibility?
it's built right into it. It's awesome.
Be really common in another year.
All right, any other questions, guys?
Hopefully, yeah.
I hope.
Asian.
When will Katie even be available?
See, that is something that I actually don't know quite yet. I've seen videos on people actually using it as in developer mode, but as of being able to actually install it, I'm not actually quite sure about it yet.
There's no release date for the consumer market yet.
Yeah,
Because Katie.
it's Todd.
Yeah, I have a few questions. One, you kept talking about that there were 3 platforms and this 4th one to come, and you used words like GNOME as a platform, but usually GNOME is a desktop. So I'm a little confused on why you keep calling them platforms and why they're called desktops. Maybe you can answer that. I think there is an answer, but I'm giving you the chance to answer it first.
Well, more of a platform is just kind of, let me think about this for a
Well,
second.
usually a distro would not release itself as a platform name that would be the same as a, but I'm just curious how you might think. And I'll open that up to anybody. What do you think?
Yeah, I want to hear from somebody else what they think.
Well, technically they aren't platforms, they're just GUI managers. So like they have their own desktop and they come, I mean, I guess you could make the argument that they're platforms because so like GNOME comes with GNOME applications. It comes with its own GUI version of your package manager and stuff that's different from others. So you can make the argument there, but normally people just call them, desktop managers most of the time.
Yeah.
That's why it's profiles.
Or profiles,
I think probably what they're doing,
It's hard to see his profile.
I think probably what this company is doing is saying, here's Budgie, and here's our GNOME version, if you want it already pre-installed and easier install, and they just called it their GNOME platform. Kind of like what Brian said, it's already coming with the GNOME applications you're aware of, and then the Make was the other one?
Mate. It's mate or mate. It's called both.
Mate.
It's called both.
S.
And you said you enjoyed using this. Is this a good platform for us to encourage people to use in the lab?
I would honestly, for me, I would say yes. What I found with using this more is that I found this actually to be a very responsive OS. I didn't have any problems with it not wanting to recognize what I wanted it to do. The only I would say for lab people, for like us, yes. But for like, just like an average consumer, if you're not really a tech user, I would say probably not, because you would be really confused on how to get some of these programs installed. A lot of people, you know, obviously don't know how to use the terminal, so that's something that I feel.
But you showed us you didn't have to use the terminal to install.
Yeah, you don't have to use it, it's just because I'm a techie guy, I like to go the extra mile to learn how to install things. Let's say if we didn't have a software manager, how else would I do that? And that's how you do that.
Katie, did you have a question? Why did Mr. Ike leave?
You know, that is something I couldn't figure out. I just read all over the place that he just randomly left. Nobody knows why. He just gave up the business and just went on to move on with his life with other software management stuff, and gave it to a team of 4 members to.
You're not really sure.
Definitely on OS, so yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
You don't know if he went for a new job somewhere or something like that?
Not sure, it wasn't said anywhere what he
He's
did, so.
gone, never to be heard from again.
There were a couple, I'm gonna pick on you here, but I'm guilty of the same thing, so I'm not really pointing my finger at you here, but
Okay,
you said something about this you had to have at least, a 64-bit processor to run this, and the way you said it made it sound like there would be other, at least 64-bit. I mean, you could have something else bigger than that if you wanted to. Does Solus really run on a heftier processor, and where would that be available to me to buy a 128-bit processor? What are you suggesting when you say at least a 64-bit processor?
that, I mean, I don't know if it can only use a 64-bit processor, or if you can go beyond that, and it just needs to be at least that, but if you're like to have a 32-bit processor, the processing of Solus would
You
not.
mean, you must have a 64-bit processor
Yes.
to run. So you might be careful of those kinds of words, because that implied that maybe I could go out and get something bigger, and it would work, and I don't even know if that.
Yeah, I understand that.
And then you made mention, this is another one, I think you didn't really mean this, but it said, when I load Solus, I can already use all the drivers I already have. Do you
Yeah.
have a package of drivers you put on first, or what do you mean by that?
That's actually something that I didn't really have to do. Like, as soon as it installed for me, I just went through the install process of putting in my username, blah, blah, blah,
Right.
password. And when I went to the hardware driver application, it told me that I didn't have any drivers to update, so.
Well, yeah, okay, but you're not listening to me. You said you already had all the drivers that you were gonna need before you installed the operating system. What you mean is all the drivers were in the kernel of
Yeah.
the software,
Yeah.
right?
That's
You
kinda-
didn't go out and get any drivers to start with.
No,
That's what you're describing.
yeah, that's kind of.
I'm just being a little picky there.
No, it's all good, it's all good. I
Uh,
like criticism.
And I was confused about the install dates. Could you go back to that slide, like the history slide?
Yeah.
I'm sure this is not a confusion from you. I think this is a company confusion. Can you show it full screen, maybe we can see
Yeah.
that better? All right, along about, on the second column on the right, Solus 2017-01010. You said that's what they changed the release dates to, and now down at the very bottom, we went with 3.99999. Did they change their naming scheme again?
You know, that's honestly what I'm gonna guess, because I didn't fully see that they did that, but I mean, as soon as I was reading through the different releases that they had, that's basically how they went from it. They went from those type of date namings to just naming it like that. So I'm not exactly sure.
Spores can be sort of strange.
I guess they had another name change or something.
Oh.
I guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, to answer the question of why he left, though it sounds very common, apparently there were rumors, but it was later on confirmed that he was starting his family. His wife had just had a kid, and they wanted to go, and now they're in like Dublin, Ireland.
Hmm.
So.
Family change.
That might be right.
Change.
So
I don't
he's
know.
off the development team.
Did they win by Shannon?
I don't know, I could. Any more questions?
What does the slogan mean? Updates forever.
Oh, I actually did forget to say that, didn't I? So, install today, updates forever, comes from going from a point release to a rolling release. So that means as soon as you install Solus, that one, or whichever one you install, you're gonna constantly be getting updates all the time. Your operating system will never feel like it died off. Kind of like Windows 95 died off. I would say Windows 8 died off.
No, it will never die.
Let it die.
Windows 8 died.
Let your past die kill it if you have to.
So that's what it means, is that once you install this operating system, you're gonna always keep getting constant updates without feeling like your operating system is dying.
Windows 7 isn't gonna die because of the rest of mine, they're gonna be having a paid subscription to the system.
I would still pay for it, but it's better.
More questions?
Yeah, did you show 2 networking accounts, different permissions?
Oh, yeah, I can go ahead and log off here. Let's actually do this here. Maybe. There's your cat, awesome, there you go.
It looks so sad and depressed, like I'm dying. And one eye is bigger than the other, and one eye is closed.
So these are the different accounts that I made.
Just
You
use
can
it.
just, I just made one called user. And I probably should have just left the password off, just kind of like a guest type, but I am positive that I use the same password. I hope so.
Are you sure?
You don't sound very positive.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Okay, so how do you change the password?
Well, I'm not that smart.
Like, you just go into,
You're not gonna lie, I guess I said it to something else.
like, do you wanna learn how to change your password?
That's what I'm saying, like,
Let's do it right now, let's coach everybody through
And you
changing
just do
passwords.
sudo password for your user, and then you put in the new
No,
password.
alright.
Go back
You
in,
try 1, 2, 3, 4.
Changes it.
Wait,
go in as you.
Yeah, go in as you. And then-
okay.
We hope you have all privileges to do so.
Remember your password.
But
If
you
you,
can get
if
in
you
your
have
room.
pseudo privileges, I think you probably do. Solus does not.
See that?
Go to your terminal, good boy.
So I'm going to my terminal?
Yeah, go to thy terminal.
Doesn't he need the password though to running sudo?
Yeah,
Can you
okay.
use this?
So you have, so you know your password for sudo, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's the
He already
same,
ran
it's the
it
same
in there,
password.
yeah.
So basically you just do sudo pws, no,
It can
pswd,
be PSSWD or PASSWD.
wd, and then your username, which is just user. And then you can set a new password for your user.
So that
At
just
least it
can't-
should
So
override
enter
it.
that?
Yes, and then you put in your password, and it should let you override it.
No, no, fine.
Never mind.
We'll
Wait, try PSW, just one S.
Use your up arrow.
Oh, can I actually delete? I don't think I can actually go up and delete that.
Well, no,
No, use your up arrow or
press the
right
up
tab.
arrow on
Oh.
the keyboard, there you go, and then
Gotcha.
take out one S. And there you go, try that. Okay, this is not like, why won't it let you overwrite?
PASSWD.
Is that letting you with sudo?
Yeah, you
So
are.
should I try like maybe sudo eopkg first and then that, or
No.
no?
It's
No,
not a
that would be
package.
installing the package.
I know with you.
Try try using it with PA.
I'm gonna go into the Etsy file, that.
Try saying it PASSWD.
Cause some distros are
You
finicky
gotta figure
about
out
how you
Yeah.
word password, cause I know Arch is like
And enter that.
PASW.
There we go.
Hey,
there you
you got it.
go.
So let's
Good
go
job,
to
so
that,
same concept.
I think you said that too.
Well, I said it after Joel said it.
Oh, okay.
I just said it louder.
Still credit.
Yeah, wait.
So sorry, Joey.
Password do not match, what the heck?
The lesson in typing
You
today.
have to make,
I know,
just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
fine, I'll do that.
2, 3, 4, 5, enter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, enter.
And if you use
There you go, hey!
Yeah, log out and see
Now
whether
log
it
out,
works.
log out, there you go.
Alright,
Too tired.
tired.
if this doesn't work.
This is gonna be the best. 4 or 5. And you are in, buddy.
I had one more question and then I'll be finished. The Etcher program, could you explain again what you're doing with Etcher?
I think we were
Okay,
just-
so do you want me to go to PowerPoint for
No, I
that?
just want you to tell me.
Okay.
This is good, except for FreeBSD.
So, Etcher is a software that allows you to flash your ISO onto your USB drive.
Okay, stop, yeah, that's right, stop just a second. Anybody in the class, this question, when you have to flash your ISO to make something bootable, why does it have to go through that process?
Because you have to form them.
It has to partition and also write the files to the disk.
It has to write the bootable, it has to write the file that will be found by the OS that it's looking for. There has to be a particular boot hexadecimal binary number that it says that's in that memory location and that's where I'm going to look for bootable.
Yeah, plus it has to be the file system that it uses, so like, it's like FreeBSD, who has different metadata to, like, this is the file type we have versus ext3 on Linux.
Yep.
And everybody in this room needs to make sure you know that you cannot just boot from an ISO file without doing something, an extra step or
I
two.
know, it can't be that simple.
You cannot do it that way.
FreeBSD would be a lot easier.
All right, anybody else have any questions for Nathan?
Any other questions?
I have, the last one is where are they gonna find your 10 questions for studying?
I will probably upload.
Can you email those to me?
I can, I can, or I think I can share the Kahoot with all you guys too.
Well, I need all of that uploaded to Canvas,
Yep.
and so make sure that I have them somewhere, but I don't see them in this, I
Yes.
don't see a list of your questions.
All right.
All right,
Well,
give a
that's the end
hand.
of it, guys. Thank you.
Yay.